welcome to Stage 4, Week 1 of the Owlet tournament. Tonight we have Weed Stomp on LAN versus Oasis Esports. I'm Eli, and here we're joined by Ad.
Hello.
Um, so here I'll just swap over real quick to the map pool for this week. So tonight we're going to be seeing Rialto, Horizon, Nepal, and Hollywood. And then if need be, we're going to head to Ilios for a tiebreaker. So let's just start off by talking a little bit about the first map, Rialto. So I do believe this is the first time it's in the regular map rotation for the stages.
Yes.
And so that'll be interesting to see how these teams play it because in the past I believe it's been a tiebreaker map. So that's been under very high pressure situations and not a lot of teams have prepared for it. But I'm really excited to kind of see what the teams will bring out now that it's in the regular season and they're a little bit more prepared on it, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm just getting the lobby all set up.
No, you're good. So, oh, we do see a lot of like um, Orisa, Roadhog, especially with the bridges and a lot of areas for boops. But we also see a lot of Pharah and Widow due to the long sight lines as well as the corners to play around. So we'll see what these teams want to do. Now, the teams tonight are Oasis Esports and Weed Stomp on LAN, and there has been some Discord beef going on in the server currently. So we'll see how that plays into maybe this all-out grudge match. I'm really excited to see how it translates to gameplay and perhaps some spicy all chat as well. But tensions are definitely high between these two teams, so it'll be really exciting to see what happens. Um, so we will see Oasis start out on the attack tonight. Um, some standout players on Oasis, Lu the Ninja, a new addition on the DPS role, as well as Pseudo, always a great off tank, I believe. On WSOL, we always see riders come up big with that Genji, that trademark Genji. Um, and then Sensic on the hit scan as well as Luna on the heals. Those are just some names that kind of pop out to me in terms of previous matches. So that's kind of what I'm going to be looking for tonight. Um, yeah, so this will be a lot of fun tonight. Again, we're just getting the lobby settings already. The teams are all in, so we should be starting fairly soon. Um, so I guess we can talk a little bit about the standings as well. So currently, We Stomp on Land is in a very comfortable position for playoffs. Oh, and here we go. We're starting right away.
Yeah, everyone's ready.
Welcome to Rialto.
So like I was saying before, Weed Stomp on Land is in a very comfortable position in terms of playoffs. I believe they're either third or fourth seed overall, and then Oasis is in a little bit of a crunch. They're right on the cutoff, I believe, right in eighth place. So they can make a great a run for the playoffs in this stage, but they will need to secure a few wins, and this will be a big one to secure if they can do it. So just the compositions coming out, we do see very similar compositions on both sides, with the Orisa Reinhardt coming out. Um, On the defense, we see a Widow and a Junkrat, along with the standard Mercy and Zen. And on the offense, they're still figuring that out a little bit, but we might see some Fair Mercy coming out.
Yeah, FAR's pretty popular on this map. There's a lot of high vertical buildings to take cover around and peek and spam rockets, and then also some lovely boops right off the bridge at the beginning.
Yep, exactly. Um, the so the side of Weed Stomp on Land is currently
Attackers
hovering over that
incoming
wrecking
in
ball.
30 seconds.
That is a new addition for the stage, so we'll want to see if they actually do run this. Might take Oasis Esports a little bit on the by surprise, and it could be a big factor in the first few fights coming out. And with 10 seconds remaining, it does seem like they might be sticking on to this. So we'll see how this works out for them, whether in their favor or not, especially in the first. Oh, and they switch off. I got baited. But we do see the Reinhardt Zarya coming out from. Oh, no, they switch back, so they are going to run it. So let's start off checking out Salty Dog, what he wants to do with this Wrecking Ball right here. Right now, just rolling around the bridge a little bit, trying to scout a little bit. The rest of his team pushing up forward. He goes straight in. Oh, misses the hook. Does not go in with the boop. And right now, WSOL's a little bit on the back foot. He does go back to spawn and will be swapping off the Wrecking Ball onto the Reinhardt. On the side of Oasis Esports, they're just setting up around this choke. Seeing Sensic coming around the backside. Pseudo struggling to building a good amount of energy, about 40 right now, and just trying to break the shield of Salty Dog on the front lines. Oh, and a big trade coming out. Illuminate gets Riderus and Sensic gets Grip. That's a big second kill for Illuminate, but the res does come out on Grip, but that means no res for Luflox now. And their Oasis Esports is left without a main tank. Pseudo does take out Salty Dog and Illuminate does take out Technician, so those are two really big kills on the side of Oasis Esports, and that should help stabilize the cart a little bit more.
Yeah, Illuminate was one of the main reasons that Oasis won that fight.
Ooh, and Illuminate right there getting taken out by Sensic on the other side. Hawkshine does have the res, so Illuminate will just be brought right back up. Again, Pseudo and Lu the Ninjas is working on these shields. Lu popping the Riptire does get Riders, who was trying to flank from behind but did not notice the Riptire coming right for him. Sensic also going for a flank but repositioned back to the team. Salty Dog getting low, Technician getting low, and Oasis Esports having a very good first few fights right here on the payload.
Yeah, Rider swapped back from Pharah onto his trademark Genji.
And here we see Luna popping the Valk, Hawksign also popping the Valk. So just two Valks coming out. Sensic does get rezzed up after that shot from Illuminate. A big charge from Salty Dog does take out Luflox. Hawksign does get the res off thanks to the bubble from Pseudo. Riders takes out Illuminate. Big grab by Pseudo. Two big kills for Pseudo, and that should be enough. No tanks for the side of WSOL right now, and Oasis Esports again just being able to easily contest cart. However, Luflox does go down pretty late in that fight. Lu the Ninja trying to duel out Riders right now, trying to get him off their mercy. Hawksign taking a few shots from the Widow as well, but does have that Riptire, might want to pop it soon, just to help recontest cart. Here comes the Blade. Riders coming in with the Blade, does get a double kill right away, and it does get taken out. So trades on both sides coming out. Pseudo just trying to do his best fight on cart. Luna does come in with the res, protected by the bubble from Technician. Technician does have the grab. Closer spawns as well for about even spawns for both sides. Pseudo does get taken out by Riders. Riders trying to do his best, trying to take out Grip. Just takes out Grip. Does get trapped up. Gets charged by Luflox out of the trap. Luna pops out the pistol, trying to break down the Reinhardt shield, and Luflox does go down, and that should be a cap for the side of Oasis, for Weed Stomp on LAN. So that did take a bit longer than you might like, though.
Yeah, that was a really scrappy last fight. But coming out of it, Weed Stomp on LAN has a lot more ults coming up.
Yep, and we do see Grip swap onto the Moira, perhaps thinking that a little bit more survivability as well as healing might be useful in these situations. We'd Stomp on LAN trying to take a little bit of ground here, give space for the DPS to work. Rider is just trying to get in, farm up another Blade, already at 60%, so doing a good job. The only one on Weed Stomp on LAN on fire currently, so that's a good sign. Centix does get a good headshot, a big grab coming out by Technician, and that will be a clean team fight for the side of Weed Stomp on LAN. Oasis Esports does try to reset quickly and just get in for one last fight around this bend.
Yeah, they should be able to regroup and get another contestant.
Hopefully Hawksign can res that up, or no, I think it was in an unresable position. Illuminate on the top side, just trying to get some headshots from up top. Salty Dog pushed up very forward, so can't really protect the team with his shield against those headshots. Luflox taking up space. Riders does have the Blade, we might see it coming out soon. And here it's popped. Goes after Lu the Ninja. Does he take him out? No, loses track of Lu, but does get take him out in the end. And that's two ultimates on the side of Weed Stomp on LAN to help clean that out. Pseudo might get staggered here, getting very low, but does have the pocket from Luna. End up getting out.
Okay, we Stomp on LAN is pushed up really far, and they're gonna come back to the payload. Try to move it a little bit.
Salty Dog is the only one with an ultimate currently on the side of Weed Stomp on LAN with the Earth Shattered. Looking for it, looking for it. Pseudo does get the grab up, so we might see a grab tire come out. No, the tire gets taken out by Salty Dog's Fire Strike. This grab has to come up big. They're all grouped up a little bit. A Weed Stomp on LAN getting very close together. A big charge from the Luflox, but does get very low. Pseudo pushing up. Might not need it with those 2 good kills on the end of the fight, and Riders does get taken out by a hammer swing from Blue Flox.
Yeah, third point for Rialto is pretty messy because there's really only one real strong corner for the defenders to take, and it's super far back in the point. So these early contests are pretty not favored for the defending team.
Here we see WSOL just trying to regroup as best as they can. Technician does have the grab, but Pseudo does as well. So if they grab at if they both grab at the same time, we'll see who comes out on top in the ensuing fight. Pseudo grabs first. This might just be a lost fight for the side of Oasis Esports, but sorry, for the side of Weed Stomp on LAN, but they do realize this and try to reset quickly. Sensic does get a trade onto Hawk Sign, so that might mean they can't be as aggressive as they'd like in the defense, having to wait for their main healer to come back up. Weed
Hawk
Stomp on
Sign should
LAN.
be able to get back before the fight really starts, though.
Weed Stomp on LAN does have a great ultimate economy right here. 4 ults coming up. Ryder is almost already at 97 to the blade, so this could be a big grab coming out, and a big blade maybe? No, he holds it. He knows he doesn't need it. Easy cleanup on the grab. Audit Decant does pop the Transcendence. A little out of place there. Maybe he was getting pressured down in the back. I couldn't tell, but that's a clean team wipe, and they still have the blade and shatter on the side of a Weed Stomp on LAN.
Yes, Salty Dog is going to hide and try to get a cheeky shatter off.
Oh, but 2 big headshots from Illuminate, just shutting down that entire defense. Salty Dog's shield wasn't there to protect them. Luna does get Riders back up, so that is there. Oh, but a big triple tire from Lu the Ninja from Spawn, from all things. So that's a shutdown fight. Will Weed Stomp on LAN be able to get back in time? I'm not sure. Sensic getting pressured out might be a stagger kill right here, and that's it for Sensic.
I think Technician should be able to touch with the Diva.
Yes, he does switch on to the Diva. Riders still has that blade. Riders has to come up big right here. Goes for it. A big shatter as well. Takes out 1, takes out 2. Looking for more, takes Pseudo out of the mech, but that should be enough for the side of Weed Stomp on LAN. A pretty clean fight coming out from them. Takes out Grip, and Illuminate and Pseudo, Baby Diva Pseudo only available. Luna does have the Valkyrie popped. Maybe Illuminate can get a few more sick headshots, but no, with the shield right there for now. Is trying to, Hawksign trying to fight on point, but does get taken out by Oddity Can't. Now it's just Oasis Esports coming in one by one, just trying to stall point as long as they can for the respawns. But I do think this will be a one fight for the side of Stomp on LAN.
Yeah, this is just stagger cleanup. Oasis Esports didn't have any big ults to come back onto the contest with and really clear Weed Stomp on LAN off the point.
Yep. So with that, we did see Weed Stomp on LAN struggle a little bit, especially at the beginning of their attack. So as a result, they have no real time bank for extra rounds if it does come to that. So we will have to see how this plays out now that we're in round 2 and Oasis Esports is on the attack. So some pretty big plays coming out from both sides. Riders with that big blade to shut down first point, as well as Lu trying to prevent the last push with that triple rip tire. Did not have any ultimates for the final defense, but a great showing from both sides currently.
Yeah, really the only thing that they could have used in the final defense to stabilize would have been a Riptire, but getting a Riptire in like, 10 seconds is a pretty big ask.
Yep, especially. Um, so now we do see Lu um, on the Sombra, something that I haven't seen from him very often. But I do think they might be looking for kind of a scout and then swap strategy here. Maybe seeing which of Lu's hero pool would be best counter the defense. Riders again on the Pharah rather than the Genji this time. So we'll see how um, the side of Oasis Esports wants to respond.
Yeah, defensive Pharah is workable considering that Oasis Esports isn't running a Pharah of their own. So Riders has pretty much clear control of the skies.
So Lu did translocate back to spawn, I believe. Oasis Esports, and he will swap to the Junkrat. There we go. So, as I said, it was a scout and
Pharah.
switch. Oh, Pharah. Okay. So it was a swap and switch strategy right there. Oasis Esports did wait in spawn that whole time, so they didn't get any push, and they probably. Oh, and Lu already getting the kill onto Riders. Easy air shots for him, I guess. We'll see what Hawksign can do in the backline, trying to, on the offense, trying to keep the tanks alive. Tanks taking a lot of damage. Loveflox getting a little aggressive there and does go down. Luna on the defense does have to take care of Audit Decamp, but Illuminate goes for a flank and takes him out. Technician does take out Illuminate in return, and Audit Decamp is brought back up. Riders says, I don't want to take that Pharah battle anymore. I'm going to swap back to the Genji. It's my comfort pick, so let's see what I can do on it. Salty Dog and Technician both taking a lot of damage on the front lines, but Technician does get the snipe onto Luflox. Luna in the back just keeping them all healthy, and Pseudo does go down as well, so no tanks for the side of Oasis Esports for now. Just a quick reset for the side of Oasis Esports. They're still pretty caught up at this first choke, so we'll see what if they can break through this choke or not. Illuminate does get taken out by Sensix, so that's a great pick for the defense. Big Shatter comes out, does get blocked out. Salty Dog still getting very aggressive, but decides to... And there we go, Luflox with the counter Shatter, but Riderus takes him out quickly with some shurikens. Sensix just has free reign right now almost, taking out Hawksign on the back end of that fight as well.
Yeah, we Stomp on LAN is having a really strong defense so far. I think they're kind of waiting for Lure Illuminate to get a pick and then to go in, but they don't seem to be bringing it to the table.
And there we go, just as you say that, Illuminate does take out Sensik. The Riders does come out with the blade, does take out Illuminate, goes after the Transcending, and just three hammer swings. Illuminate gets brought back up. Salty Dog trying to fight on the front lines, just swing as much as he can. Does take a lot of damage. Luflox getting a little aggressive here. Lu the Ninja does take out Salty Dog. Lu the Ninja popping off, taking out two right there. The Transcendence coming out a little bit late on the side of We Stomp on LAN. Sensik does trade out for Lu the Ninja, but it's a pretty even fight right now.
Yeah, that was a really late Transcendence. I think they should have just reset and then coming back in and using it here to defend against Barrage or Grav.
Yep, I definitely have to agree. Lu does get taken out as well, and that's there goes their combo for the Graviton. Pseudo does have the Grav, but with with their team dying here, they should be able to reset for one last fight on the side of Oasis Esports. So very reminiscent of the push by Weed Stomp on LAN. One last push to get it through the first checkpoint.
Yeah, with the Grav Barrage combo coming up too, if they can kind of corral everyone together, then it should be pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Fight. I
Pseudo
think
looking
Oasis
for the Grav, gets both tanks. Lu does get taken out again by a headshot though, so once again there goes the Grav combo. Salty Dog hits a great Earth Shatter, and that will be the end of the map. Weed Stomp on LAN taking it pretty handily.
Yeah, I think there's just a coordination issue there between Pseudo and Lu the Ninja. because the graph came out and it got 2, but Luz Farah wasn't around to clean up.
Yep, I definitely have to agree. They were getting a little desperate at the end as well with they were just trying to get back on point as best as they could. Really just contest as best as they can and try to get that grab combo out, but it just wasn't out in time. So that will be the first map going to the side of Weed Stomp on LAN 3-0. So next up is Horizon Lunar Colony. So let's see what that was a payload map. So now we're heading over to 2CP. So it'll be exciting to see what we see on this map as well. Perhaps a little bit more static. The FAR doesn't work as well here, I feel, especially since it's kind of a quote-unquote indoor map. So we'll see whether they want to run maybe a Junkrat, like Lou was teasing a little bit, or maybe we'll see. We'll definitely see a lot more Widow, I feel, as well. So just making a few swaps to the lobby, subbing different players in, getting different maybe some pep talks from the coaches, going over strategies. On Horizon Lunar Colony, there's a lot more high ground as well, especially on actually on both points, first and second. So perhaps we'll see a little bit more Diva Winston rather than the mirrored Reinhardt Zarya we saw on Rialto, which is very favorable for Pharah, but there wasn't a lot of high ground. There's a skybox, but not a lot of high ground. On Horizon, we do see a lot of that high ground contention, like those battles a lot. So perhaps we'll see Winston and Diva, or maybe even some Orisa on the defensive side. Um, like I said, I definitely am expecting a lot of Widow on this map. Horizon's a great map for Widow. Just a lot, just those long sight lines, those checkmate positions on first and second point. Um, just being able to range shots down from the high ground onto the point is a really great advantage of really any hit scan, but especially Widow in today's kind of age and meta. So um, looking at the rosters currently, we do see Raxling coming in for Illuminate on the side of Oasis Esports. Illuminate played a lot of the Widow on the first map, so um, and did very well, I believe. So we'll see what Raxling wants to bring out on Horizon. And then on the side of Weed Stomp on LAN, they're heading back to the moon with their original lineup of 6 that we saw on Rialto. So no swaps for them this time. And here we go.
Traveling to Horizon Lunar Colony.
So this time we have Oasis Esports attacking first with Weed Stomp on LAN on the defense. So like I said, Horizon Lunar Colony, a map with a lot of these high ground positions, especially on first and second points. Um, and then these great kind of widow perches, especially on second point, for the offense and defense. So it'll be exciting to see what team brings out what and what they plan on doing with these different positioning avenues. Currently on the defensive side, we do see a Ryan Zarya Wrecking Ball. I'm not sure about the Wrecking Ball once again. I don't want to get debated. We are seeing Riders onto the brig for now. And so they're coming out of spawn, so we see Sensik on the Hanzo, Riderus on the Brig. So a little bit different from what we saw from them on the first map, Riderus on that Genji and Sensik on the Widow mostly. And then we are seeing, again, the same tanks on the side of Stomp on land. Perhaps just going with their comfort picks right here rather than worrying about dive too much. On the side of Oasis Esports, they're kind of all over the place right now, but with 10 seconds remaining, we should be able to see what their comps are shortly.
Yeah, as for the Ryan Zarya defense, it's kind of weird because they have, they're really good brawly on the point, but as for holding the high ground, it's a little bit more difficult for them to do.
So once again, Lu going for the scout and swap strategy. We see this a lot in OWL, but more on the defensive side first of all, and then second of all, we see kind of the rest of the team leave spawn in their heroes, and then the scout kind of catches up. But it's an interesting look to that coming out from Oasis Esports. We do see them swap onto goats, so they will be able to kind of rush point pretty quickly, and so here they come. Let's see how Stomp on land wants to adapt to this. Sensik just trying to rain in some arrows onto the big death ball that's coming out. They do end up going outside, so that should mitigate some damage, but but Stomp on land doesn't push up, is taking this back position, which is pretty good, allowing the gap to waiting for Oasis Esports to build the gap. Sensik already has the dragons though, and might pop it right here. They're all grouped up right on point. Here comes the dragons. Riders does get taken out by Pseudo. Pseudo pretty low. Actually all of Oasis Esports pretty low, but both support, two supports going down on the side of Stomp on land, but some trades coming out for, and a big shatter by Salty Dog, and Sensik is just going to be able to rain in these arrows and clean up those kills. And 30% onto the next dragons already. So I'm going to be honest, Oasis Esports fed a lot of ult charge to the side of Stomp on land right there. Even using 2 ults, they're already close to a Grav, Trance, and halfway to the Valkyrie.
Yeah, and they used up a lot of time in that push too.
Yeah, and they used up a lot of time, and they're swapping off to the dive. So no ults for the side of Oasis Esports, at least for another push. They do have the Coalescence, but that won't be too useful, especially with their dive characters kind of jumping all around, not in a straight line. Lu raining in from above, just trying to get these picks. Boops the 2 tanks off the high ground, so the backline is a little vulnerable. Trying to go on Riders right here, does get a good few good air shots on them, and so that's no DPS for the side of Stomp on land. A Grav does come out, very optimistic, and the Earth Shatter does come out as well. So Stomp on land throws 2 ultimates into that fight. They had the ultimate advantage, and they still lost the fight against the ultless Oasis Esports.
Yeah, those are really messy dives that came out, but I guess, it still worked. I'm surprised to see Salty Dog staying on the Rhine and not going on to Winston for this second point.
Yep, especially with Stomp on land. They wasted 2 ultimates, the Grav and the Earth Shatter, and we do see Technician swap onto the D.Va, a little bit more indicative of the second point. But without those 2 ults, Oasis Esports is pushing in pretty easily. However, the side of Oasis Esports is just kind of jumping into the tanks of Stomp on land, allowing the Salty Dog to get some good swings in, and already 50% to the next Earth Shatter. So kind of no harm, no foul at this point.
Yeah, that's going to be a pretty good defense. I don't think any of the dive characters from Oasis even looked at Stomp on land Zenyatta, let alone trying to focus Audit down.
Yep, and here Raxling does have the Genji Blade, but again, like you were talking about, the Zen on the other side wasn't pressured at all, so was able to hold on to the Transcendence, no problem. Raxling looking for the Blade, looking for a target, looks right at the Zenyatta, goes straight for him, trying to bait out the trance. Does get it out, doesn't have to use Blade, and two characters on the side of Weed Stomp on land do go down. Raxling still has the Blade, takes out Luna, pops it. Oh, and Sensic with the shutdown, and Technician with the bomb coming back. But this is looking like a pretty even fight so far. Pseudo does get back in the mech. Luflox getting the Diva out. Ryder is going for the barrage, does take out Lu, but gets taken out himself. Hawksign goes for the res, and Oasis Esports does have positioning on the point. The hammer does come down, but no one on point to contest. So that will be a cap for Oasis Esports.
Yeah, that was a big earth shatter, but no matter how fat that shatter was, that doesn't get anyone from your team on the point to contest.
Yeah, I must say that was a little interesting. A lot of times when I thought We'd Stomp on Land would win the fight, especially with their ults, they kind of lost, and then vice versa, the side of Oasis Esports, when we'd think they would win, they kind of lost, and when they would lose, they would win. So a lot of very drawn out, strange fights going on, but it seems to play into both teams' kind of play styles of this very scrappy, very trying to get as many kills as possible as the fight goes on.
Yeah, so now I think we're going to see the dive come out from WSOL.
And that should work very well with Riders' Genji. If he can build that ult quickly and get those blades like we've been seeing a little from him a little bit, that should be great. But if he can't build the blades and if he's being shut down, that could spell trouble for We'd Stomp on Land's dive. Here we do see Luflox going onto the Orisa on the defense. So like I was saying, a little bit more of a static composition, but that shield does allow for a little bit more mobility than say, a little bit more compartmentalizing between the tank and the shield. We do, oh, and there's a pause. So what's up right now?
I think, yeah, someone's having a lag spike, so I think
Okay.
we're all ready to go.
Okay. So this time we see Raxling on the Widow. We did see Illuminate on the Widow for Oasis Esports last map, but Raxling showing that he can flex on to this as well. And Raxling was playing a little bit of Genji, so perhaps that's why they wanted to swap him in for this map. On the side of WSOL, like we said, the very standard dive with the Widow on Sensic, so they'll be relying on Sensic to get those picks, and a Rider is to build that ult as quick as he can. Grip this time on the Moira, so perhaps he was having a little bit trouble with Riders' Genji last round. Did get the trance baited out of him pretty quickly, so perhaps the Moira will help him a little bit in that respect, but it doesn't have the same defensive power as that trance.
Right, they do lose out on trans, but Moira is better for countering Genji in neutral game.
Yep, definitely. So here you see Riders coming around the flank, trying to just scout out a little bit. Does get pressured out a little bit low, and does get taken out straight away. So that's going to be a one fight that they don't want to engage on for Stomp on that. Technician is Sensic does take out Raxling. Technician is on point though. Technician does not want to let this go. Salty Dog does kick out Lou the Ninja, and Technician takes Pseudo out the mech. So this is actually a pretty good fight for the side of Weed Stomp on land. Despite losing their Genji very quickly in that fight. Hawksign getting very low, gets taken out by a headshot by Sensic, and that will be cleanup for the side of Weed Stomp on land. So even with that quick pick onto Riderus, Weed Stomp on land was able to kind of fight it out.
Yeah, I think Oasis the rule of thumb for Orisa is, you know, once you drop on a point, you're dead. So I think they dropped in a little too quickly, but now they're going to go onto a dive for defense, which I think is the right call.
Yep, definitely. Especially against Riders as Genji, that will help pressure him out a lot more and take advantage of these high grounds a lot as well. LeFlux getting low, very low. Technician does get the bomb up. Rider is still not up to the ultimate. Technician does take out LeFlux. Hawksign goes down as well. Rider is still not yet at the bomb, but they at the blade, and that will just be kind of a cleanup blade very late in the fight, but we'll see if Oasis Esports is able to recontest or not. Grip does have the coalescence. It will pop it straight away onto point. LeFlux gets melted down very quickly, but Luna has Hawksign has a touch point but cannot. Grip still with the coalescence, just shooting out the beam as best as they can. But these are quick kills coming on the side of the Stomp on LAN. There's the trance, and that should clean everything up very easily for them.
Yeah, I think one of the issues there was target priority from Oasis's dive. I think in a case like this, you really have to focus down Sensei's Widow as your primary target, because if for second point, if Widow can just set up, then she's pretty much uncontested and is in one of those like checkmate positions, and it's so difficult to deal with her in the stagger phase versus at the beginning of a fight.
Yep, definitely. And especially even like we saw in that first fight on first point, we kind of saw Riders take that sacrificial lamb kind of play. He kind of went in on a point, fed pretty quickly, but that brought the rest of Oasis Esports back onto point a little bit too early and gave Sensei just easy shots, like we said, in that even in a checkmate position on first point, easy shots from that high ground platform onto first point, and just rained them in one after the other. So we do have a disconnect from Raxling. So hopefully he'll be able to come back. I think he was probably the one with lag issues earlier. So maybe just resetting, trying to fix those as best as he can.
Yeah,
but
I think he's just resetting his client.
Yep. But we do see two pretty healthy time banks on both sides of 3.5 minutes for Oasis and 5:45 for the side of Weed Stomp on LAN. So we'll see if we get even more rounds coming up as well. On the side of Weed Stomp on LAN, we do see them go onto a dive defense. So something a little bit different than what we saw from them on the first round.
They're going dive with a Brigida, which I'm going to guess that they're playing like dive counter dive, and Brigida is going to be pretty much just bodyguarding the Zenyatta and keeping Zen alive when the dive comes in, and we're going to ward off any dive tanks or dive TPS.
Yep. So I from what I see is kind of the dive tanks on the side of Weed Stomp on LAN will be trying to create space. Not really contest kills or secure kills on the side of the defense, but they'll be making space for their kind of 4 characters to kind of play around each other and protect one another, and kind of enable Sensei to just rain in those Hanzo shots from behind. We do see the GOATS offense coming out again from Oasis Esports, which actually was their unsuccessful first push, and then they swapped to dive, and that was their successful push. So it's a little interesting that they're going to try this out again rather than just go onto the dive, which they knew worked the first time. But here we go. Let's take a look at Lu's perspective for now. So they're coming around. This time they do not have the scout, so they don't know what they're going into, and they realize they're going into something a little bit different than what they expected. Sensei again getting those shots in. Riders actually swapped off onto the Junkrat, so this is very good against that goats, but Ryderus does get taken out by Raxling. Luna does get the res off, but Ryderus is being zoned off point by Blue right now. And 2 ticks coming in for the side of Oasis Esports, and they're kind of C9ing. Oh, but here comes out the Rip Tire. Will it be big? Here comes... Oh, and gets Lu and Grip, so 2 of the supports down. Hawksign does have the ultimate here, but does get taken out by Sen6, so that should be a shutdown fight for the side of Weed Stomp on land. Just pulling it back. Raxling getting back in the mech, not the best option at this point. Just gonna feed another 500 health to the side of Weed Stomp on land, and is now back in the Baby Diva form, and a little out of luck right now. Pseudo getting pressured, very slow, and does get taken out. A big stagger kill for the side of Weed Stomp on land.
Yeah, they really staggered themselves at the end of that. But I think Oasis's goats just isn't really working. They seem to not really be sure the best way to play goats, and where everyone has to stick together and focus on one target, and they're not really doing that.
Yep, they're having a lot of trouble identifying a target, especially with the kind of dive tanks of Weed Stomp on land just weaving in and out of them. So it's giving them a lot of trouble, and there we go, 2 more kills for the side of Oasis Esports. They're still engaging, which is very strange, but they do take out both supports on the side of Weed Stomp on land, so maybe they'll be able to fight this out, especially since it's only 1 more tick left. Technician throws the bomb out, doesn't get anyone. Raxling does get Salty Dog. Here comes the grab from Pseudo, but no one was on point. They could have capped in all this time, but now they're just wasting a little bit more time. Sensik does get taken out by Grip, does throw out the dragons. The Shatter comes out, does get Technician. Luna did res Ryderus, does get Luflox and Raxling. So, but Ryderus gets taken out just as he's contesting point. Luna tries to find a point as well, does get taken out. Salty Dog comes back, but it does C9 and will just feed the rest of his 1000 HP pool to... Oh, no, he gets out. And gets the Coalescence out of Grip as well. So 1 more minute for the side of Oasis Esports. Technician swapping onto the Zarya here, which is a little interesting.
That is an interesting pick for an off tank. Salty Dog is going to go
Hammond. Okay, so they're just doing their best as they can. Sensik does get taken out by Raxling. Pseudo takes out Ryderus, so no DPS for the side of Weed Stomp on land. Audit decant goes down. The tanks are nowhere to be found peeling for anyone on Weed Stomp on land. The bomb comes out, takes out Salty Dog, and that's a clean team kill. Sensik is going to respawn right now, but does get taken out. Ryder is just coming in right after him. Audit decant not with him. Ryder's getting very low, gets separated by him support. Once again, the tank's nowhere to be found, just staggering in. Luna healing up Salty Dog. Audit gets taken out. Technician comes in on the Tracer, just trying to contest point as best as they can. But with the GOAT setup by Oasis Esports, is just too hard to fight back into this. Sensik, 1 health, does get taken out. And Ryder is not even able to contest point on the Mei.
Yeah, and Oasis didn't even need to use Grav or the Earth Shatter that they had to clean that up.
So a great double cap from the side of Oasis Esports. That GOAT's really working for them a little bit more this time. Especially on the end when they were getting those stagger kills. But as they pushed onto second point, the tanks were a little bit all over the place and nowhere to be found, kind of setting up, resetting up a front line or peeling for the rest of the team. So that was very unfortunate for them. They couldn't really set up for a defense well.
Yeah, and one of the issues for Oasis was Raxling's Diva wasn't really doing Diva's job in GOATs of contesting people on the high ground. Like, Sensek's Hanzo just had free reign, and it should really have been Diva pressuring him, but they just let him sit up and take pot shots for days.
Yep. So, although successful, not as successful as it could have been, but here we'll see how they want to run this double hit scan for the defense on the side of of Oasis Esports, and on the side of We'd Stomp on LAN, going back to the death ball rather than the dive that they ran on their first attack.
Yeah, but they're using the Ana now.
Ana with a lot of that, probably just trying to go for that team wiping nano blade with Riders. Pushing onto point. Riders dashes right onto point. No dash right now. Draws back the rest of Oasis Esports back to the point, and just weaving in and out, trying to farm up this blade as quickly as he can. Sensik does take out Raxing, so that's a big pick for the attacking side. Riders goes in for Luflox. Luflox out of position. Does get bubbled by Technician, but is taken out by Riders in the end. Lu the Ninja under a lot of pressure does get taken out, and now they'll have 5 minutes to attack second point, and a good ultimate charge advantage as well.
Yeah, Riders' Genji pulled like the entirety of Oasis Esports down off the high ground and onto the point.
Once again, Sensei coming up big on the Widow, getting that first initial pick and kind of sending Oasis into disarray. Pseudo got headshot, goes down very low, but now that's just ult charge for Hawksing. Luflox getting close to the Earth Shatter. This is the first ultimate that they're going to have soon, so we'll see what he wants to do with this. Is pressuring out Salty Dog a little bit, playing around this left room. But again, Pseudo getting very low on the back line, not able to help support his Reinhardt as much as he can. Grip takes out Riders, who is in the back trying to get some picks. Lu does swap onto the Reaper, so just a little bit more shield break, a little bit more brawling peel for the close quarters fights. Luna does get Sensik up after Raxling hits a great headshot. And now the ultimate economy is a little bit more even, but Audit Decant does have the nano, and Riders getting closer and closer to that blade. Riders does get taken out by Raxling. So they're doing a really great job of shutting this Genji down, but it's allowing Weed Stomp on LAN time to just kind of group up and farm up 6 ults as best as, well, 5 in this case, but as many ults as they can for one big push.
Yeah, but Oasis is coming up on some big ults that they can really use.
Yep. A Rider is again taken out by Raxling. Raxling just shutting down this Genji one after another. Salty Dog and Luna. Technician pops out the Grav pretty late in this fight. Not a lot of follow-up, and Pseudo pops the Grav back. Much more successful. Technician goes down. So the only 2 ultimates left on the side of Weed Stomp on LAN is that Nano Blade.
Yeah, I think they're going to be hoping that Luflox can get a shatter onto Riders once he commits.
Yep. Lu does have the Death Blossom, so perhaps might pop that to bait out the Reflect, but not a lot he can do with that at the moment. Here we go. So here's Riders' big moment. Here comes the Blade. Misses. Luflox does miss the Earth Shatter, but Riders only gets the 2 tanks, but takes a while to do so. Lu trades out for Salty Dog, and Technician, so both tanks going down as well. Salty Dog does get rezzed up. Grip. Luflox does get rezzed up as well, so both sides just allowing rezzes on point, and the defense getting a pretty good position right here. Luflox does eat the charge, but was bubbled in time. A big anti-nade coming out, but Salty Dog still goes down. Rider is just trying to bring it back by taking out the supports, but Rider gets that taken out by Grip, and that's a lost fight for the side of Weed Stomp on LAN.
Yeah, if WSOL can kind of regroup quickly, push, and not get picked, then Oasis Esports has no ults, and it's going to be a little bit until they can get anything up. So if they can just come in quickly, get a shatter off and just clean up, then they should be good to take the map.
Yep. Not a lot coming up for the side of Oasis Esports, like you said. Weed Stomp on LAN does have the shatter, so that's going to be their big playmaker for this push. Salty Dog eyeing that shield very carefully. Does get charged out. Riders gets charged out by Luflox, so is taken out. A big shatter though, very big. Takes down 4, I believe. Takes out both tanks. one of the supports and one of the DPS. Lu just trying to do his best, contest point. Salty Dog coming up big. Luna goes down. But Lu will go down, so this is a good fight for Weed Stomp on land. They should be able to get a few ticks with this. But Oasis Esports is coming back in as best as they can. Oh, and Luflox goes for Sensic, so like you said, shutting down that checkmate positioning as best as he can. Oh, but a big Graviton coming out from Technician, the Nano onto Salty Dog, and that's going to be easy swings for him. However, they are under a minute, so this does mean that Oasis Esports will get another minute to attack.
Yeah, that was a questionable use of Earth Shatter to kill a Widowmaker, because she died from the impact of the Shatter, which means she was 50 health or below. So I think they could have saved that for maybe the tanks on the point or to get the healers or something.
Yep, it was a really big commitment by him. But again, like we said, like we see, they were getting very desperate, just trying to get as many kills as they can, shut down any positioning for on the offense, just trying to contest the point as best as they could. So this time, what are we seeing on both sides? So once again, so this time we see Oasis Esports starting out on the dive. And then we see Weed Stomp on land going back to their Death Ball defense. So they're doing a lot of. Both teams are thinking a lot about what the other team is going to run, and then also thinking about what worked best for them on their few attacks. So here we see Weed Stomp on land going back to their Death Ball defense, and Oasis Esports going on for the dive with Luflox on the wrecking. Oh, no, never mind.
Yeah, I think WSOL is playing anti-goats with the Pharah Junkrat combination.
Yeah, definitely. And now they're seeing the dive come out, so it's a little bit more difficult to kind of contest that. Weed Stomp on land, choosing to once again rotate very quickly onto point. Just trying to take that point control, giving Oasis Esports great high ground to kind of stage a dive. Luflox does see Riderus out of position, goes straight for him, is getting pocketed by Luna. Riderus gets very low, but does get the bubble, and does take out Hawksign. So that's one big kill for the side of WSOL. Another big pick, 2 down on the side of WSOL, but that should be a one fight for them regardless, because the picks for them are just higher value.
Yeah, I don't know if Oasis Esports even has anyone that can touch.
Oh wow, and yeah, that's it. So Oasis Esports took a very long time with their one dive and wasn't able to commit hard enough and get those kills fast enough.
4-4. Switching sides.
So now WSOL is playing with house money. They have a minute, 50 seconds to get one tick, or they walk away with a draw.
So once again, the mind games of which comp each team will run is coming into play. So both teams right now kind of hovering over. So WSOL's hovering over the GOAT strategy, perhaps, and then Oasis Esports going back to their tried true death ball with Widow and Pharah. Here we do see, so we're seeing a triple support comp come out from the side of Weed Stomp on land, with Sensic on kind of the carry role in this Widow. So he's going to have to come up big as a solo DPS in this situation. Riders can do some work, but they do need to get good positioning for him in order to do that.
3, 2, 1.
So we'll see if whether Sensic can come up big on this Widow or not.
Yeah, and Sensic has to deal with both Lu the Ninja's Pharah and Raxling's Widow. So he's going to be a busy man.
Yep. Goes for the jump. Looking at Lu's positioning, does see the rockets coming out from him. Heads back to point. Oasis Esports is trying to play line of sight as best as they can. Sensic getting on the high ground, looking for the Raxling on the enemy Widow, and does get the headshot. So a quick dink right there. Riderus stuns um, Luflux, and he gets taken out as well. Um, Sensik again dueling both Lu the Ninja and Raxling, and takes out Lu the Ninja. Both DPS were too preoccupied with Sensik's Widow, and the point just gets capped just like that.
Play of the game.
So that would be a second map in favor of Root Stomp on LAN. This time a lot closer, 5-4, with a lot of those extra rounds here on Horizon.
It's nice to be appreciated.
So, Oasis Esports is definitely coming back for a fight, and perhaps we'll see them show up really big in the next few maps. So we're gonna take a break, right?
Yeah, short halftime break.
Okay, so um, I'm just gonna mute the stream for a little bit and head over to our break screen. Hello, stream, and we are back. So let's just head back over to the scorecard real quick. So looking at the score right now, WSOL is up 2-0, um, with a 3-0 on Rialto and then a 5-4 in extra rounds on Horizon. The first map was very heavily contested, even though it was a 3-0. And the second map, as you can see, the score reflects very well. It was very close as well. So this game is very close, really back and forth. So it's very exciting at the moment. And we're just waiting for the teams to come back from their break, which ended just shortly, or should be ending shortly. And the next map we'll be heading to is Nepal. So we'll be seeing both teams kind of duke it all out in this control point um, control point map. Three very different maps with very different compositions you can run on each. And it'll be exciting to see whether Weed Stomp on LAN can close out the night, or um, if Oasis Esports will be coming back.
All right, we're gonna get started.
Nice. Okay. So here we go. Heading to Nepal.
Traveling to Nepal.
So here we are starting on, I always forget the name, but I think it's Sanctum, I think.
This is Sanctum, yeah.
Yep. So this is Sanctum with the big pit. So both teams hovering over the Orisa right now. Well, very shortly they were, but we are seeing Technician um, on the Roadhog, so we might be seeing a lot of boops coming out from both teams, especially with the Luna and Grip looking at those Lucios as well. So again, Control, it's a lot more about individual play and kind of these scrappy fights, rather than these more like positioning and engagements that you see on the other map types. So it'll be really exciting to see what team kind of comes out on top in these fights. Um, so both teams running the Orisa right now. We are seeing Junkrat coming out on Lu's side, which could heavily counter Outriders is swapping to Genji, but this could put a lot of pressure on the Genji as well, especially with those traps kind of preventing the dashes from connecting as well as you might want them to. So both teams coming out with the speed boost, very quickly just rotating to point. Luna swaps off to the Mercy to get the Fair Mercy going on with Sensic, but the team of Oasis Esports does set up on point first. Pull comes out, and Britboy goes down. Sensic with the assist there. Hawksign going down thanks to Riderus. Riderus in the backline just trying to cause as much terror as he can. Sensic getting a lot of the kills with these just easy shots coming up from up top. And that will be a quick cap for the side of Weed Stomp on LAN.
Yeah, I think Oasis Esports should have taken control of the little inside point next to the point, the chimney area, and they would have been less susceptible to boops out there, and they should have just kind of controlled that space better.
Yep, they were very out in the open. Although they had point control, they were still kind of out in the open on their initial engagement. Technician with a great hook does get pressured out, but just pops his healing. Sensic just having free reign on these grouped up members of Oasis Esports. They're just all in the tunnel, and a big barrage coming out gets 3, and that's just going to be another quick fight one for Weed Stomp on LAN.
Yeah, that's the danger of going that way, is you're really susceptible to spam damage from Pharah, who can just rain rockets and you can't really do anything about her if everyone is in there. I think because they're running a little bit more of a range comp, they should try to take the outside area a little bit more, kind of control that, get them set up, worry about the Pharah, and then move on to the rest of the team.
Yep. So we do see Lu has the Riptire. He does pop it, going for a kill here. Will he find one? Riders does take it out though. Quick shurikens and a dash. Lu did not notice him right there next to the tire. And Riders comes in with the Blade, takes out 3, and that's going to be, once again, another quick fight for the side of Weed Stomp on LAN.
Yeah, Oasis should really only have time to get one more contest in, but they're coming up on a number of ults, but they don't have anything really super strong to clear WSOL off the
A
point
nice
other than
boop
potentially
from Britboy onto Technician, so that should help a little bit, but they do miss out on their hit scan. They do cap point somehow. Sensic, Salty Dog getting very low, does get taken out. Sensic just trying to do as much damage, but that's going to be a fight one for Oasis Esports, and a pretty early cap allows them to build up their capture meter a little bit faster. But Pseudo did not have enough defense matrix for that barrage, and so does get popped out of the mech, does use ult, and Raxon coming back, taking out Sensic on the stagger kill for the end.
Unless Sensic is changing off the Pharah, which it does not look like he is, that was a really late barrage into a lost fight. I think they would have done better to come in and initiate with that.
He was trying to build it at the beginning of the other fight, but wasn't quick enough, so ended up getting it too late and using it too late as well. A big shutdown by Raxling right onto Riderus. The Fan the Hammer kill, getting him quite easily. The shield coming up for the Deadeye, but Luke takes out Luna with the Riptire. So a big investment from the side of Oasis Esports though.
Yeah, they used up most of the ults that they have, and now that they're controlling the door, they should be able to play this a little bit kind of safer and use up some time to build some ults up.
Britboy onto the Reinhardt now. And Salty Dog onto the Winston. So both tanks, main tanks swapping off. Perhaps this will be a little bit interesting to see how the two play against one another now in this situation.
I would have really liked to see Oasis hold those doors more than just giving all this space to WSOL.
A big boop coming in from Sensic almost gets both tanks off the map, but but they both get back on just in time. But Riders does end up taking out 2 of Oasis Esports members. Britboy just being taken out by Technician. Luna does go down, but Sensic once again just easy shots popping up from the top. Just raining them down onto point. Oasis Esports does get it to 99%, but I do not believe they'll be able to recapture this in time. Raxing booped onto point, then taken out by a dash. Britboy going for the shatter, but gets booped up a few times and will not be able to contest.
It's okay, Britboy, we've all been there. Just trying to get your shatter off, getting booped around. Coming into Village now, everyone's favorite map.
And I've had the names backwards, but here we go, fixing them right now. There we go. So on this map, we see both teams running the a death ball composition. The DPS not swapping much, but Lu going onto the Pharah rather than staying on the Junkrat, which is very useful, especially on this map with the large skybox. Hawkshine takes a rocket straight to the face, so we'll have to get back a little bit. The side of Oasis Esports taking the high ground positioning and trying to drop down onto Oasis, onto Weed Stomp on LAN. Rialto does take out Raxling though. Sensic getting very low, and Britboy also dies very quickly. Lu the Ninja trying to take out Riders, but just not enough focus fire on the team, and will end up being the last one remaining, and we'll have to escape somehow. And does get out. So once again, we Stomp on Land uh, does take capture of the point first. A nice shot by Sensik onto Lu right there, but not enough to take him out, just enough to pressure him. No ultimates really coming out on either side for the time being. Ripboy gets booped into the team. Ryder's getting him down very low, trying to melt him down as best he can, and will be taken out in the end. Grip also goes down, but Salty Dog got very low, but does get taken out, and both Mercies on both sides gets taken out. Lu gets melted down by Technician, and once again another fight for Weed Stomp on Land.
Audit was completely cut off from the rest of the team in the back corner of the point for like 15 seconds straight, with Blue the Ninja just kind of flying overhead. I think if they would have focused Audit down, maybe, and then kind of transitioned into the rest of the team, that would have went a little bit better.
Raxling on a very long from his far away from his team, not playing playing this very long range McCree, which isn't doing as much pressure as he might like onto the Pharah. Is going on the supports right now. Does misses shots onto Luna, misses the stun onto Audit. Audit gets the nice right click right into his face. And oh, but a big combo coming out from Oasis Esports. This might be able to turn it around. Pseudo trying to melt down Luna. Luna does get taken out in the end, so that no mercies on either side. Audit, Decant, and Ryderus all are alone, but they can just pocket one another and clean out the fight, and there we go. Support, by the way. Lu coming back in, Raxton coming back in, but the rest of Weed Stomp on Land is already back on point, and the grab comes out from Technician, and that's going to be cleanup kills for Weed Stomp on Land.
Yeah, so Weed Stomp on Land takes the series.
Yep, so Weed Stomp on Land takes the map and the series in a pretty dominant fashion, I'd say, on Nepal. It was just there wasn't much counterplay on the side of Oasis Esports. Weed Stomp on Land kind of just played what they wanted, and nothing really came out to pressure the compositional picks of Weed Stomp on Land. So here we go. So we're gonna head to Hollywood for map 4, and perhaps Oasis Esports can get at least one map for that map differential, because it's really important for them. Because like we said at the beginning of the stream, Weed Stomp on Land is a pretty done shoe-in for the playoffs, but Oasis Esports is in that 8th place position. So they are just on the cusp, and they need every map they can get to really secure their spot in the playoffs. So in terms of swaps, we do see Sensic coming out for Apocalyptic for the side of Weed Stomp on Land, and for Oasis Esports, nothing so far. So Weed Stomp on Land on Hollywood will defend first, and Oasis Esports will attack first. So like we saw on Horizon Lunar Colony, both teams ran a myriad of different compositions for their capture point offenses. We saw a lot of dives, some goats, some death ball, some double projectiles, some double hit scan, just anything kind of to counter whatever they thought the enemy team would be playing. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what both teams start out with, and whether they're going to swap to kind of adapt to that. Perhaps once again we'll see that scout and switch strategy coming out from Oasis Esports. I haven't seen it doing that much good for them at this point. It just seems to waste a lot of time, in my opinion. But they obviously have some backing for it. So here we go Hollywood. So Hollywood, Hollywood I always think of as one of the two staple hybrid maps. The other one obviously being Kings Row, everyone's favorite. Um, and so right now we're just seeing some troll picks from both teams. I'm not gonna get baited in calling any of these for right now. Um, well, we do see riders on the Genji, so I'm pretty sure I can say that's like a done deal for now. But we do see the Orisa Hog coming out from the defense on the side of Weed Stomp on land for now. Um, Something that can be run on Hollywood. Um, I wouldn't say it's like better or worse than say Ryan Zarya, but it's definitely viable. And then on the side of Oasis Esports, once again we see Lu the Ninja on the Sombra. So I'm definitely gonna just go ahead and say that's once again the swap, the scout and swap strategy to kind of see what their DPS will be playing on the attack. It looks like Weed Stomp on Lane wants to take this back high ground on the cafe, play very back. Oh, maybe not. They're just clearing out the banisters. Um, this time we see Apocalyptic on the Widow. So this is so Sensic is out for Apocalyptic. So we'll see if Apocalyptic can come up as big as Sensic has kind of throughout this whole series with his DPS. So Lu the Ninja just in stealth, running to point, and we'll see what Oasis Esports wants to do with this. Gets popped by the Venom Mine, so it does not even get to scout out the enemy composition.
Well, at least they know that they're running a Widow now. But
Yep.
I think Oasis Esports positioning is really weird. Having the Orisa in that security center and then gonna rotate back on the point is... I think they're just gonna get run over by this Rhine comp.
Yep, so this just playing on point gives the enemy team a lot of access, but it doesn't look like Oasis Esports is able to capitalize on that. Ripboy getting very aggressive, just kind of eating all those shots, not holding up shield at all. And the whole team of Oasis Esports is just going to feed all their kind of bulky bodies as ult charge for the side of Weed Stomp on land. They were running the Goats comp, but it didn't work out at all for them, and now we see them swapping onto the simple death ball with Raxling probably going onto something else. Yep, there we go. There's a Genji. Actually, there's a Widow. So Lu back onto his trademark Pharah, just trying to do as much damage as he can. Knows that the Widow's back there. Takes a body shot, gets pressured out, but is doing his best to just kind of rain damage in from above. Riders does have his blade up already. Like I said, all that ult charge from that first fight. Oasis Esports coming from the back. Riders knows this. The rest of Oasis Esports know this. No, sorry, Weed Stomp on land know this, and so they're ready for it. Riders with the blade. He knows there's no defensive ults currently. Goes straight for the Mercy, takes out Grip as well. They do pop the Supercharger to help him out, and it gets 4 clean kills with no defensive ult for the side of Oasis Esports. That was a pretty big investment, I'd say, though, still.
Yeah, I think the Supercharger was a little unnecessary, because by the time it came out, Riders had already gotten like 2 kills.
Yep, and they also knew that the side of Oasis Esports had no defensive ults. They really had no ults in general, so there was really nothing that they could have done for that blade besides kind of neutral game it. Britboy once again coming up. He does have the Shatter this time, getting very aggressive once again, taking a lot of spam damage from the 2 tanks. Does have the Shatter, very scared to pop it. Does pop it, gets a few down, but Audit Decant just comes in with the trance and is able to counter that very quickly. So now we see the ultimate economy kind of swapping sides a little bit. Actually, as I say that, Lu swaps onto the Junkrat rather than staying on the Pharah, and Grip swaps back to the Moira as well. After swapping from the Moira um, to the Zenyatta and back to the Moira. The Pseudo comes out with a grab, but doesn't really hit anyone with it, and they get taken out by Technician's a whole hog, which is not that great of an ult, but it seemed to do a lot of work right there.
Yeah, Pseudo used the grav to try to ruin Riderus's Genji blade, which my personal opinion, I don't think that's really a good trade. But
Yep,
even if it had worked, it wouldn't have done much.
Yep, and in general, it didn't hit. Raxing does take out Apocalyptic with a nice body shot. Lu gets high ground, so he is able to rein in these nades as best as he can. Salty Dog does end up going down. Grip goes down. Lu the Ninja trying to get aggressive onto the Mercy in the back. Does take out Technician. And Riders get taken out, and Luna does get taken out. Audit following as well. It's just Apocalyptic on the Tracer now, able to contest point. I don't think he'll want to go in.
No, he's going in for a last second.
And he gets trapped immediately and gets taken out by Pseudo. So not the best.
That was a feed.
Yeah, that was a pure simple feed. So not the best option for him. So now Weed Stomp on land has to take a little bit more time to reset and get positioning for their defense. Raxling pushing up a little bit. He's all alone, and yep, once again a feed from the side of Oasis Esports. And a quick death. Grip is on sticking to this Brig now after swapping off on a few supports. Maybe thinking that the Brig will help out with the Genji a little bit more. Lu does get the Genji ulting very quickly. Salty Dog is trapped. Lu pushes up, trying to finish him off. Lu doing a lot of work. Audit just kind of on the top here with the trance, but is getting pressured out by Raxling, and the rest of Weed Stomp on land will be taken out in the end. Grip Boy trying to take out Apocalyptic here on the Hanzo. He's all alone. We'll have to try to get out as best he can. Riders does come back in, trying to save Audit. He can't, but just gets double body shot by Raxling and is taken out pretty quickly. Now, yeah, so Oasis Esports is just getting these stagger kills one after the other, and they're just pushing this cart for free.
Yeah, at no point during that entire fight did WSOL contest the payload.
And here's two big ults that come out. The dragons come out, not hitting anyone. Lu pops the tire, but doesn't get anyone. Gets the Technician very low. Technician, a Pseudo does pop a self-destruct. Luna pops the Valk, but gets taken out by Raxing pretty easily. Riders is still there, only 66% to a blade, so won't have it for this fight. Britboy does get bubble the bomb, but does get caught in it. And that's going to be a quick second point capture for the side of Oasis Esports. So a nice comeback for them right now.
Yeah, that pretty much just rolled through.
Salty Dog just feeding a little bit there. Didn't contest point at all, and just jumped straight into the team with no support from the side of Weed Stomp on land. So now Raxling's going to push up a little bit, knowing that there's no one really to dive him, especially with Technician now back on the Zarya.
Yeah, WSL has just completely swapped back over to Deathball. I guess that was why Salty Dog just went in by himself, just wanted to reset quickly.
Britboy goes in pretty hard, has the ultimate, does pop it before, right after taking out Audit. Decant. Lu with a big rip tire, taking out 3, and Luna's the only one left, all alone on point, waving to her death, and will get taken out. So that should be a cap for the side of Oasis Esports. They are C9ing a little bit. This might be big. Oh no, Riders does that, taken out. Grip just swing the flail on point, healing, doing damage, and that should be a one fight for the side of Oasis Esports. So they do cap with about 50 seconds in the time bank.
Yeah, third point was just another case of WSOL not contesting the payload, taking fights off of it, and just not playing that too smart. I think Luna was the only one who contested the payload for like 99% of point 3.
Yeah, we Stomp on Land just got very staggered out through the last 2 points, never really being able to reset properly, not getting clean engages, and then using ultimates kind of um, not in conjunction with one another, just trying to do as much as they could individually, especially. So here um, we see we'd Stomp on Land heading over to the attack. Um, we do see the Ana coming out again, so perhaps they're going in on the all-in um, Ryder's Nano Blade. Um, it's been very on and off, I want to say, in the past few maps. He's either gotten like a 4K or he's gotten shut down like very quickly. So it's been very hot and cold. So I don't know um, how safe this strategy is at this point. Lu the Ninja this time is on the um, Brig, and we're actually seeing so we're seeing a triple support comp coming out from Oasis Esports with Raxling on
Both
the
sides.
Widow. Oh, on both sides, yes. With Raxling on the Widow and Ryderus on the Genji. Raxling has been doing very well and has actually been has even shut down a few of the Genji blades as Widow. So it'll be interesting to see these solo DPS duel.
Yeah, I think just one of the issues though for Oasis Esports is they don't have anything to really combo with a grab from Pseudo.
Raxling just trying to get some headshots in. Does get a nice body shot onto Ryderus to start. Salty Dog does get a little low. But Ryderus goes straight in once again. Gets very aggressive. Lu's following him down. Does get him out. Apocalyptic getting very low on point. Does get healed up. Salty Dog just charges straight in. Raxling does get caught out a little bit. Lu going back in as well. Britboy does take out Salty Dog in the back after he charged super far in. So it's just kind of Apocalyptic on point right now. And Oasis Esports is going to be able to push them back. Riders once again goes straight in. Goes after the Widow Raxling. But does get healing in the end. Nice body shot onto Ryderus. Ryderus getting a little low, gets out, gets healing. Hawksign getting very close to the Valkyrie, does pop it right here, trying to keep his team alive. Apocalyptic does get headshot by Raxling. A nice anti onto Britboy, takes him down. Hawksign trying to get in for the res, but we Stomp on Land just zoning them out very well, and that will be it for the side of Oasis Esports defense.
Yeah, and coming into point 2, WSOL has everything.
Yep,
so I think Oasis is going to want to take an early fight here, try to get out as many ults as they can, save all of theirs, and then try to get a second contest in around the bend, and then play from there.
Yeah, let's see whether or not we Stomp on Land pops a lot of their ults or not. Double defensive ult coming out from the side of Oasis Esports to kind of cancel out that Graviton. Lu the Ninja getting very low from that anti. Nano Blade comes in. Lu the Ninja goes down. Nano Blade doesn't get anything. Raxling takes him out once again. But the big Shatter comes out. Helps out quite a bit. Raxling misses the headshot onto the Resing Mercy in the back. Trades coming out. Ryder is back in. It's just Raxling and the two of the supports right now. Just trying to fight off the rest of the team as best as they can. Lu the Ninja does come back out on the Pharah, just flying up in the sky, getting some nice shots onto Salty Dog. Lu taking some pressure from Technician. Britboy does get out, but he's split off from the rest of his team. Does counter charge, but will get taken out because the rest of Weed Stomp on Land is right there. Lu the Ninja also taken out. A nice split by We'd Stomp on Land. Ryderus with the blade once more. Pops it just to close out that point. And then a late ultimate from Apocalyptic. They're still pushing up for kills here. Technician going in. Britboy's back, but Grip is just out of position. Does get behind the shield in the end and will be able to survive for now.
Yeah, that rally didn't really get that much effectiveness, because I think your Zarya in this case is probably your #1 priority to give armor, because Zarya has shields that will preserve the armor.
Oh, and Raxlin gets a nice headshot onto Audit Decant. That armor didn't help there. Audit, Raxlin's actually in the back. A nice purple onto them, but will get out. The front line taking a lot of damage. Lu the Ninja back onto the Junkrat, doing a lot of shield burst. Just breaking that shield as best as he can. Pseudo does get solo shattered. But Britboy does get a nice charge onto Apocalyptic. And a nice shatter as well to help take out Riders. Pseudo does get rezzed up, and Lu does have the tire if necessary to help clinch this defense. Raxling just popping off, no pressure at all. Even dropping the shield for a second can hit that shot onto the running technician. Raxling hitting these great shots and just shutting down a lot of this push.
Yeah, I'm really surprised Britboy got that shatter off, because he was in the air mid-animation for so long, and then it just came down and got like 2 people, one of which was Salty Dog with the shatter.
Yeah. Raxling just hitting these shots one after the other, very easy for him. No worries for him at all. And that last push, he almost shut down almost single-handedly, thanks a little bit to the help of Britboy's late shatter. Here they come. Here WSOL's coming in. They do have the grab, do pop it, gets 2 of them in it. Britboy and Lu the Ninja go down. Riders is taken out by Raxling. Hawksign does have the Pseudo pops the Graviton, doesn't hit much. Here comes the Riptire from Lu the Ninja. It does not hit anyone. Hawksign's just trying to stay alive. The Transcendence from Grip is really helping out. Does pop the Valk finally. Just trying to keep their team as much as they can. Lu the Ninja staying alive so long. Takes out Apocalyptic on the rival Junkrat. Lu still alive, doing a lot of damage. Already 40% to the next Riptire. Pseudo getting very low, but really charged up, so getting a lot of this damage in. Building up to a very fast, another fast grab. So once again, Oasis Esports doing a great job at just staying alive and pushing back the fight. Ripboy does get antied as Wrecking Ball, but Salty Dog gets a little aggressive there, and Raxling gets charged out, gets taken out. Pseudo 95 to the next grab. Lu the Ninja also has a Riptire, but Pseudo gets taken out before he can pop the grab. Lu the Ninja comes in with a Riptire, does get taken out by Technician. Britboy coming back in, is purpled on the Reinhardt now. Trying to build up to the hammer down, does get hammered down himself. Pseudo just coming back out with the grab, does get a huge grab, isn't able to follow up himself. Hawksign trying to get in the back, does get taken out by the opposing Mercy, and that will be a cap for a Weed Stomp on LAN.
Yeah, we Stomp on LAN only ended that with about another 30 seconds more than Oasis Esports. So this is gonna be pretty close.
Yep. Both teams really struggling to kind of take the point quickly. So we'll see if they can adapt on these extra rounds and see if either team can get the point in the first minute or so, because that's going to be really crucial to see who comes out on top.
Yeah, because Oasis took the whole 4 minutes on the first push to get point A. Once they got point A, they kind of rolled through the rest of the map, but they killed so much time getting this first point, and they don't have nearly as much time now in overtime as they did before.
Yep. And then also Weed Stomp on LAN. They were waiting for that Nano Blade. And it did take a bit longer than I feel like they expected or would have liked it to. So on their attack, I'll be interested to see whether they run that again. Once again, Salty Dog playing on point with this Orisa, just allowing easy access for the enemy tanks. But we'll see how they fight this back this time. Grip once again on the Brigitte, um, trying to deal with that Genji a little bit more, getting sick and tired of being bladed as that as that off support. They are running dive here with this Junkrat and Brig, so it'll be interesting how they can engage and close the gap quick enough for them to all fight together. Grip is a little split up right now, a little awkwardly. Raxling taking a duel with Riderus does get the healing in the end. Grip gets pulled in, kind of lost a little bit, but the side of Oasis Esports is getting the kills. They do take out Salty Dog very quickly. Grip finally gets on point, is able to swing that flail as he wants, but Apocalyptic coming in with a double kill on 2 supports. Technician also doing a lot of work, helping take out Ripboy and Lou. And it's just Raxling, and that's it. Pseudo's dead to the Riptire, and that's it. Once again, Oasis Esports running the dive, but taking a very long time to set it up and go in.
Yeah, also having a Brigitte as part of your Brigitte and Junkrat as part of your dive squad is curious, to put it nicely.
Yeah,
I
Grip
think
had
a
a lot
Pharah
of
would have been a
trouble,
much better fit.
definitely, especially with the lack of hit scan on Weed Stomp on LAN.
Yeah,
Choosing to run the Junkrat rather than the Widow like they did on the first time.
yeah. When you're running like a low damage dive, where you have Genji, Diva, Winston, that Zenyatta with a Discord Orb is so valuable.
So here we see on Oasis Esports, they're going a little bit for a little bit of a cheekier comp, I want to say. Pseudo looking at that Mei and is running over to the point with it. So we'll see how this catches Weed Stomp on LAN off guard. Once again, Grip and Lou are on the Junkrat and Brig, perhaps looking for a sort of anti-goats or anti-dive strategy here. Riders again and Audit Decant on their respective roles of the Genji and Ana, so we'll see if they can build that Nano Blade quick enough this time. Riders dashes in. Apocalyptic taking in some good damage from Lou the Ninja. Lou already at 20% to the ultimate, but also Riders matching him almost percent to percent. Lou already at 40%, so Lou building a very fast ultimate here. That will be a very big deciding factor in the fight. They do get, Weed Stomp on LAN does get walled off, but no one gets split up by that wall. The charge comes in from Salty Dog. A nice hook by Raxling onto Riders, but does not get anyone, and the kills are just coming in for the side of Weed Stomp on LAN right now. The Mei not doing as much as they wanted it to, and Technician just cleaning up one after the other. It's just free reign for them, and that's going to be it for Hollywood. So that's map 4, and the 4-0 going for the side of Weed Stomp on LAN. 4-2-3. So with this match over, Weed Stomp on LAN just keeps punching their ticket to the playoffs, while Oasis Esports is going to have to kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit, because this 4-0 isn't going to help them too much in the standings, and being right on the cusp, it's a really big deal for them. So um, that's it from us. It was a great game, some really close maps, some really close fights. Um, so we'll have a lot of so thank you for joining us tonight, and we'll see you next time.